All right, so the question today is, can the Oklahoma Sooners save their season against South Carolina? And you might be asking, what do I mean by that? Well, if Oklahoma loses this game, you're 4-3 heading into Ole Miss, Maine, Missouri, Alabama, LSU. You really start to question whether Oklahoma can make a bowl game or not. But if Oklahoma wins this game, whether Deion Burks is back or not, you think you have a little bit of confidence going into the back half of this schedule that, hey, maybe if we get Farouk and a Burks back, maybe if Anderson comes back, you just get at least 2 out of the 5 wide receivers that maybe you can sneak a win or 2 in there and maybe get to 7-5 or even 8-4, which if you're an Oklahoma fan, you're taking 8-4 right now. But you lose against South Carolina, you really just don't feel good about the trajectory of the way that this season is going to go. And this is your first home game since losing to Tennessee, right? So if you're an Oklahoma fan, you want to see the offense play better because this is going to be Michael Hawkins' first start at home. So a lot of the presumed issues you would have on the road because you're playing on the road as a true freshman, you shouldn't have those same problems. You should be able to play a little bit more controlled at home, but the offense hasn't looked good. And some people blame play calling. Some people are blaming injuries. Some people are blaming execution. And all three of those spots have their own place right now in terms of what's wrong with the offense. And that's got to be the first key of the game this week, right? You got to look at the offense, and they have to play their best game of the season. This offensive line has to play the way they did against Auburn or better, because this South Carolina defensive line is going to make the Oklahoma offensive line pay if a Michael Tarquin or a Jacob Sexton can't step up against these two edge rushers, specifically Dylan Stewart for South Carolina. Remember, Dylan Stewart was a 5-star edge rusher, and he was a 5-star for a reason. You were seeing it this season. Dylan Stewart has been an absolute menace for anybody that he's had to go up against, and you see that in his numbers. I mean, yeah. So looking at it, Dylan Stewart, 9 total tackles this season, or 9 solo tackles. He's had 12 total, 3.5 sacks, though. Like, he's going to make those tackles pay. And then you've got Kyle Kennard, 7.5 sacks. Like, they get home to the quarterback. South Carolina has 19 sacks on the season. So if you're Oklahoma, you've got to protect Michael Hawkins a little bit better. And Michael Hawkins, although you don't want to see him flee the pocket as much as he has, the way that he's going to be able to use his legs in this game, he needs to use them the way that he has over the past couple of weeks. He's going to have to scramble a little bit. You just want to see him go through a little bit more of those progressions, make a couple more reads. Don't be a one read and tuck quarterback. So if you're the offensive line, you've got to pay attention to those edge rushers. You cannot let them get home. Like, if they have the success they've been having all season, this is going to be an easy win for South Carolina. And, you know, you can't lose to South Carolina because South Carolina is a team that we kind of had a lot of questions on whether Shane Beamer is going to get fired this season. Like, South Carolina has real questions on whether or not they're going to fire Shane Beamer by the end of the season. Like, if they lose this game, they're 3-4, and they still have to play Texas A&M, Missouri, Clemson. All three of those teams are top 25 matchups, and they still have to go to at Vanderbilt. At Vanderbilt. Like, at one point, we might have looked at that game and said, chalk it up, not going to be a win for Vanderbilt. South Carolina should get an easy dub there. With Wofford, they're potentially got one game out of going bowling. No, like, there's a chance this team is only sitting at 4 wins by the end of the season. And Shane Beamer, he's on the market. So, and Shane Beamer's familiar with Oklahoma, which is why I feel like South Carolina, he's going to have this team prepared to come into Norman and play. Like, Shane Beamer's familiar with this atmosphere. Like, he's familiar with the fan base. Again, just like Josh Heupel, he's familiar with Sooner Magic. Like, he's not going to F around and find out, right? Like, he's going to play, if he's winning, he's probably going to play a little bit of a conservative game. So, looking at South Carolina, that's why you can't lose to them. Like, this is a South Carolina team that's got a lot of questions, and they will turn the ball over. But we'll talk about that on the defensive side of the ball. But as far as offensive goes, what you want to see out of these wide receivers, every single week we see a wide receiver step up that hasn't stepped up previously. And then you kind of wonder, okay, am I going to get that same performance out of that receiver again the following week? And then they don't follow it up. Against Tennessee, it was Jaquez Petaway. Against Auburn, it was J.J. Hester. Against Texas, it's been Zion Kearney, right? So is Zion Kearney going to follow up last week with another good week this week? Or is J.J. Hester going to reemerge? It sounds like Deion Burks might be back. If you guys looked at the availability report, for the first time in 2 weeks, Deion Burks was listed as questionable for the first report, and then he was listed as questionable for the second report. That makes you feel good. That makes you have confidence that Deion Burks might be playing in this game. And if Deion Burks plays in this game, even as Brent Venables said, 80% of his max capacity, I think that's better than anything else that you've put on the field in terms of a wide receiver product. And I'm sorry if any of the wide receivers watch this. I know some of you guys know I love your game. Like, where have y'all been? Deion Burks has been out for 2 games. 2 games. Well, 2.5 games. And he's still Oklahoma's leading wide receiver. Bauer Sharp's telling him with 180 yards, but Bauer Sharp's played every game. So you see the problem here. Deion Burks is Oklahoma's obviously most athletic offensive player on this team, but he is also the best wide receiver right now on this team. Like, you need him back. You get him back. I think it's going to help spread out the South Carolina secondary, maybe even make them respect the deep game a little bit. South Carolina's passing defense is really good. 36th overall passing defense in the country. So if you get Deion Burks there, I think it really helps open things up in the passing game, especially where they're going to run a 4-2-5 defense. So as far as Oklahoma's concerned, you get Deion Burks back, Deion Burks needs to get at least 10 to 12 targets this game. 10 to 12 targets, at least. I wouldn't be mad if you gave him 15 targets. And then I look at the running game, and I say, okay, this has got to be the week you put it together. This has to be the week the running game does something. Because South Carolina comes in 31st ranked rushing defense. A lot of that's due to their defensive line. You've got talented backs. If you do not put it together this week, I am not confident you're going to get it together at all this season. Javonte Barnes, Taylor Tatum, that's 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Gavin Sawchuk needs to see the field a little bit. Seth Luttrell, I want to see more 2-back sets. That's what I want to see. I want to see more Javonte Barnes and Taylor Tatum, or Javonte Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk in the backfield. That's what I want to see. And I want to see more of like what Andy Reid does with the Chiefs. You know what? We can't get our passing game going right now. We're going to go back to an older style ball, and we're just going to pound the ball down the middle. We're going to make you stop us there. Because eventually it wears the defense down, and the offense can get something going. I know Oklahoma fans don't have confidence that can happen, but we see Oklahoma have success in the running game, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, we like to abandon it. So, Seth Luttrell, you got to do better there. You got to do better. Get the running game established. If you're running the ball on the outside pretty well in some of those outside zone sets, continue to do that. Continue to run the ball on the perimeter. That's what works. Stop doing what doesn't work. Like, it doesn't make sense. So, for the offense, it's pretty simple. Like, you set the bar pretty low last week, so you got to take a step up. Now, as far as Michael Hawkins is concerned, if your offense looks like it did last week by halftime or even midway through the second quarter, I don't know what kind of change you make at quarterback, but you got to make a change at quarterback. Because last week, Michael Hawkins was missing wide open wide receivers downfield. And if we're seeing that same stuff happen again, you've got to make a change. Michael Hawkins can't stay. Because, and I get it, Michael Hawkins is really talented. I would love for him to stay with the University of Oklahoma. Maybe even if he got benched, right? Maybe you could redshirt him. Well, no, I don't think you can because this will be his 5th game. Regardless, he comes back next season. You get a quarterback coach. You have a real quarterback competition between Arnold and Hawkins, and, well, that's all she wrote. So I'm not sure if the answer is put back Arnold in. That's who I would like to see. Or if you put in Casey Thompson. I know a lot of people are wanting to see that. Something's got to change if Hawkins is not playing well. So offensively for Oklahoma, you set the bar really low. So honestly, any improvement is an improvement this week. Okay, looking at the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I would like to say you guys don't need to change much, but I mean, it wasn't fantastic last week against Texas. It wasn't. I mean, let's be honest. You got to play more consistent. That's really what it is, right? Consistency is key. Oklahoma and the defense played pretty well against Texas outside of the second quarter. You take out that second quarter, the Oklahoma defense actually played pretty well. So if you're Oklahoma's offense and you score points early, oh my gosh, the defense has confidence that they go out there and win this game, and Oklahoma might look dominant. Like, I think there is a part of the defense that goes, man, like, our offense ain't going to score. We got to go out there and make something happen. If your offense goes out there and scores 14 to 17 points in the first quarter or in the first half, maybe this defense has a little bit more confidence and they're playing with some urgency, right? Like they're ready to go. Like they're like, okay, like I don't got to go get a touchdown for Oklahoma to win this game because our offense is rolling, buddy, right? So I do want to see Eli Bowen play. After what we saw with him last week being Oklahoma's best defensive player on the field, the second best coverage defensive back, you want to see Eli Bowen out there more. Now, again, the grand question, does he replace Kenai Walker or does he replace Woody Washington? Oklahoma fans have their quarrels with both. I would say you replace Woody Washington. Although he's the senior, the reason why you do it is because Kenai Walker is 6'2". Giving up that size, I feel like hurts you, having two smaller guys on the field than Woody Washington and Eli Bowen. So I would say you replace Woody Washington. And you're going to need it because Nicholas Harbor, formerly a 5-star athlete in the 2023 class. You guys notice how I'm like specifically mentioning 5 stars? Because last week when you played Texas, you got your ass kicked against some 5 stars. You got your ass kicked against Auburn against some 5 stars. You got your ass kicked against Tennessee by some 5 stars. And I bring this up because, and I'm about to go off on a completely different rant. Guys, Oklahoma's not landing the 5 stars they need to land. 2023 was great. You get a 5-star quarterback, 5-star safety, 5-star edge rusher. You get a 5-star defensive lineman last year. Get a 5-star offensive tackle this year. I need to see Oklahoma get some skill players as well. I need to see you go out there and land a 5-star wide receiver. Because if you guys noticed, the 5-star wide receivers this year are making an impact on the field. Bryant Wesco, Ryan Williams, Cam Coleman, Nicholas Harbor, Jeremiah Smith. Did you guys notice that? Like, teams that get 5-star wide receivers actually receive a good, decent chunk of impact from them. Ryan Wingo at Texas. Forgot to mention him. So, yeah, anyways. Nicholas Harbor, former 5-star athlete. Dude's freaky. Olympic speed. You need not only size on him, but you need to put Eli Bowen probably on him as well. Like, you probably need to have at least 2 guys paying attention to where Nicholas Harper's at. I don't know if y'all watched what he did again that Alabama game, but my Lord, that man made a catch. So, if you're Oklahoma, I mean, I think the biggest key is, I mean, your running defense has been really good this year. So I'm not going to say like, oh, well, you got to contain Rocket Sanders. Like, you got to, like, your run defense has to be better. Like, it's got to be better from last week, but it's been on the whole really good this season. Like, you held a Jaquez Hunter from Auburn to probably going to be one of his worst games of the season. So if I'm Oklahoma, I'm not concerned about the running game. I'm concerned about the passing game. And I'm concerned about Sellers looking like Tom Brady out there because that's what we made Peyton Thorne look like when we played Auburn. Now, again, it was in Jordan-Hare Stadium, so maybe that was just the voodoo of Auburn Stadium, right? Sellers is a quarterback that's prone to making mistakes, whether it's putting the ball on the ground or throwing it to the other team. This team for Oklahoma, it's very good at creating turnovers. I need to see them go out there and make Sellers turn the ball over. Have Sellers give you the ball. That's what you need to do if you're Oklahoma. You create 2 to 3 turnovers in this game and you don't cough the ball up, you should win this game. Like, you should win this game. This should not be a Tennessee situation. I got honest to believe, Jesus, please do not let this happen, where we get 2 to 3 turnovers and then we don't capitalize. So the defense, if they get 2 to 3 turnovers, you should win the game. The defense, I mean, it's a pretty simple plan for them, right? Do what you've done all season. Play well in the run game. I mean, put Eli Bowen in there. I think that helps make your coverage a little bit better, especially since Gentry's not going to be playing for you. And then just get some turnovers, right? That's all we ask. You don't even have to get turnovers for a touchdown. Just get some turnovers. That's all I want to see. And if you do that, Oklahoma's going to win this game. Now, I say Oklahoma's going to win this game. Am I picking Oklahoma to win this game? Hell to the no. Did I do that right? You guys remember that meme? I don't know if I did that right. No, I'm not picking Oklahoma to win this game. I have no confidence in it. And you know what? I'm kind of also under the impression if I pick Oklahoma to win, they're going to lose. So maybe we can just use some reverse psychology here. I have no faith in the offense to be able to go out there and score enough points at this point. I don't know if I can confidently pick Oklahoma to win another game this season until I see the offense make a significant improvement. And when I say make a significant improvement, I'm probably not picking them to win next week because I wasn't picking them to win next week anyways against Ole Miss. But let's say against Missouri, right? I picked Oklahoma to win that game. For me to pick Oklahoma to win that game against Missouri, I need to see Oklahoma put up at least 500 yards of offense in this game. At least 500 yards of offense. I don't care if it comes on the switch of a quarterback or not. I need to see them do that. If I can't see Oklahoma put up 500 yards of offense, I'm probably picking them to lose against Missouri. It's just how it is. I'm sorry. I can't do it. So we'll say the line, this is the most disrespectful part if you're Oklahoma. The line opened up at 3.5 in Oklahoma's favor. 41.5 over under. The spread is now +1 Oklahoma. The line has now shifted. You are an underdog at home. So the question is, can Oklahoma pull off the upset? Can Oklahoma win as an underdog at home to South Carolina? The over-under still at 41.5. So I think a lot of people are probably thinking that's probably going to be about the score. So I'm thinking you probably want to take the under. I think it's probably going to be 21-20, somewhere around there, South Carolina. So, yeah, I'm really going out on a limb thinking the offense is going to score at least 2 touchdowns. That's what it's going to take. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. Matchup predictors got Oklahoma at 65.8% chance to win this game. I'm just not confident, guys. Got to see Oklahoma score some offensive touchdowns. And I love Michael Hawkins, but under Michael Hawkins, they have not moved the ball down the field like they were with Jackson Arnold. I know Jackson Arnold turned the ball over, but at least with Jackson Arnold, they were moving the ball down the field. So jump in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. And if you guys have not already and you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that like, hit the subscribe button. If you guys are listening to this on Apple, Google, or Spotify, give me 5 stars. Leave me a review. Make sure you hit the follow button. We'd love to have you guys tune in every single week. But until next time, Boomer.